Live from the Grant Price Studio in the McElroy Communication Arts Center with news that you need to know. This is KnightWatch.
Good evening, Cedar Valley. I'm Danny Householder, and welcome to KnightWatch. On the program tonight, we'll find out what exactly is happening on Wall Street. The movement has spread across the nation to areas like Oakland, St. Louis, and even right here in the Cedar Valley area. And we'll talk with one Wartburg student who saw firsthand of what is really going on Wall Street. But before we get started, let's take a look at what made headlines this past week with news anchor Kelsey Bemis. Kelsey?
Thanks, Danny. A Janesville student died Monday after being hit by a school bus. 11-year-old Justin Bradfield was hit and killed around 4 p.m. Monday along Dakota Avenue. According to the report, Bradfield came back to the front of the bus to pick up an item he had dropped in the street. This is when the accident occurred. The safety equipment on the bus was determined to be working properly, and no charges are expected to be pressed against the bus driver.
My first guest tonight is a political science professor here at Wartburg. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Thomas.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'd like to talk to you a little bit about this Occupy Wall Street movement. How did it start?
Well, it started actually online with a Canadian group called Adbusters. This is a group that is sort of anti-consumer culture, and they proposed the idea back in July that those unhappy with the failure of fiscal policy, our debt problem, our deficit problem, that is and was over the summer when the debt ceiling needed to be raised by an act of Congress, and Republican members of the House of Representatives used that as a point of leverage in getting the Obama administration to agree to fairly deep cuts in future federal budgets. That story is unfinished because supposedly before November 23rd you'll have the super committee consisting of only 12 members of both the House and the Senate, equal numbers of Republicans and Democrats, issuing a report with recommendations for deeper cuts in federal spending over the next fiscal year and the decade to follow. It has the Occupy Wall Street movement and the attention that it has received from all forms of media, television in particular, has displaced that as the number one issue to be covered, and the media tell us not so much what to think, but what to think about. And as attention has turned away from the debt and deficit toward the issue.
Welcome back to KnightWatch. Due to an emergency at home, Alicia can no longer be here, so in her place, coming up early, now we have Kyle Fleming. Kyle, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so what do you feel this movement, Occupy Wall Street, is all about?
For me, this movement is about trying to get everything back to where it was, where the founders were. A lot of people that I talked to over the weekend were talking about how politicians in the political system right now are being bought out through lobbies or through corporate money. And it's just trying to remove all of that money and all of that greed from the political system and bringing it back to the American people, trying to get them to vote for people that represent really what they feel, and to also have the people that they vote really believe in what they feel, rather than having some lobby tell them how to vote for something.
How many people were down in St. Louis?
That's a good question. We talked, just asking around is anywhere from 20 to 50 people at a time. Not everybody stayed at Keener Plaza. There were a lot of tents there, but a lot of people were just ordinary people. They had jobs they had to go to, and when they got done with their jobs, they would come down and they would help out. But I would say when we were there was at least a good 30, 35 people there doing all sorts of things, running meetings, standing with signs, making sure everything was safe and running smoothly.
Did anyone from Wartburg go with you?
It was just me and Alicia. We had the original plan was to go to New York, to go to the Occupy Wall Street, but not enough interest was generated, so we decided to take a small group of about 4 people to Chicago, and then watching the updates from Chicago and being chased off of their plaza with attack dogs and just a lot of violence is getting ready to overflow. And with only the both of us, we decided to make the trip down to St. Louis.
What did you learn from this experience?
I learned that that whatever you read and whatever you see on TV is not the full picture. it's only a whatever we'll get television time. You know, you see the protesters in Oakland, and you see their.
Welcome back to Night Watch. I'd like to thank Dr. Danny Thomas as well as Kyle for stopping by the studio tonight. Now, Kyle, before we go, we do have some pictures that you were able to bring back from the trip. So we'll take a look at these, if we can just get them up. All right, so what's going on in this picture right here?
This picture is the General Assembly meeting. Every day starts every day at noon. They have a General Assembly where they get together, they make announcements, and they bring up proposals about how to improve the community, improve the movement. Right now, this picture is everybody's getting gathered, and it looks like right here they're going over the rules for consensus. Everything is decided by consensus. Everyone needs to generally agree, and it's a pretty elaborate process for being something so informal. But
I noticed the graffiti in the background. It says, "We are the 99%." I think that's what it says.
Yep, right across the top it says, "We are the 99%," and then it's occupystl.org, which is the website for the St. Louis Occupy group.
All right, so let's go on to the next picture, if we could here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what this is?
This looks like a shot from the tent city. Trying to see what's going on here. I think this is over the top of the media tent, which is the blue right on top. That's where all the computers are. That's where people update the Facebook and the website and the email addresses, or the Twitter, excuse me. There are posters on all of the columns. Each column is